Hi, welcome to Let's Get Social, where online connections turn into live conversations. I'm your host, Chris Bartlett. Today I am sitting down with Keith Larsen, who is the founder of this really amazing event coming up this year called Production Con 2011. It's an inaugural event. I think it's going to be cool, and we're going to talk about why you should be there and what's going to be going on there. Keith, thanks for being with me.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start at the beginning. You've got this idea that came to you for Production Con, Connecticut.
Yeah, the beginning, a couple of years ago I did an HD workshop. I've been running the Connecticut Final Cut Pro user group for about 8 years. And I rebranded it Digital Content Creators, and part of the relaunch I wanted to do something more than our regular monthly get-together with editors and camera geeks. Sure. So we wanted to do an HD workshop because this whole new world of HD seems to be boggling everyone's mind. So we put together this thing, we got some vendors involved, and kind of as a caveat to the vendors, we said, well, why don't you come? We'll give you a table, throw it in there, it'll be an extra added attraction, you get more value for your dollar kind of thing.
Sure, great idea.
Well, yeah, I actually thought the community would be a little upset having these, shills in the room, but what ended up happening was they really liked having them there. The problem with the event was we scheduled workshops simultaneously, and everyone would run out of the vendor room into the workshop, everyone, and leave the vendors standing alone. It was something I hadn't anticipated for because I think everybody felt obligated to do everything that was on the agenda.
Understandably so.
Yeah, so no matter what we did the second day, we tried to put the food next to the vendors thinking if they're hungry though. It just kept happening that way. So I started polling my community in follow-up meetings, like, if we did that again, what would you want, what would you want? And it was overwhelming that they wanted the vendors there. But they also wanted the workshops, but they asked if I would repeat the workshops. Could you run them more than once? That way, if we're in a conversation at one of these tables, we don't have to run away.
Right.
Okay. So Matt Bradbury and I sit down and start roughing it out, and we realize that maybe we should class it up and try to go to a hotel. Maybe take it a little bit to the next level. Because in the back of my head, I always thought it'd be great to end up at the casino. So
not a bad place to end up.
So I go to bid with to the hotels to try to get a cost, and HB Communications calls me the very next day and says, we saw your thing online, and what you really should think about doing is going to the Crown Plaza Hotel in Cromwell. They're non-union, and which cuts a lot of overhead right out. You don't have to use their AV, you don't have to use their catering services, you don't have to pay for load-in fees.
Good way to jump into the game,
Good
right?
way to, yeah. And as a sponsorship, HB was willing to subsidize all my AV. Oh, well, this is a game changer. Now we actually can think about doing something a lot bigger than HD Workshop. So we started renaming it. Well, let's rename it, let's call it something bigger, because it's also not about HD, and it's not just about editors, it's not just about camera guys. We want to get everybody involved. So Christy Walter, my girlfriend, came up with Production Con, and the play on words, as you see.
Yes.
So,
which is a good name.
Which is a good name.
Yeah, appropriate.
So it started moving forward. And then I started thinking, like, well, if we want to draw Boston and New York, we also have to have someone get involved who's already got a little track record. So a friend of mine, Josh Apter, who runs Manhattan Edit Workshop, it's a training facility in New York, they do something called Edit Fest. And they get ACE editors, American Cinematographer Editors Union editors in who cut major motion pictures all the time. So I partnered with Josh, and for a really, really great price. Manhattan Edit Workshop is handling a lot of the programming on the show, 75% of the programming on the show.
So you're getting all the key players apparently are just falling into line.
And they come with a built-in audience, because anyone who goes to their Edit Fest is now probably going to hightail it up here. It's a 2-hour commute, which goes along with part of my thinking is to put it in Connecticut and make it halfway.
Right. We are the land between, equidistant between Boston and New York, which are great, both great cities, but different markets.
It's funny. it's true. And trade shows tend to fail in either of those two big cities because you lose the other one. It's a 5-hour commute for a smaller trade show. It's just not worth it for one day. Right. You spend half the day in the car or on the train.
You gotta look at the opportunity cost of your time and the travel.
But if you put it right in the middle, 2-hour commute is a lot more feasible. 90 minutes if you're a lead foot driver.
So we're thinking Cromwell's the bullseye, right?
The bullseye. And it's actually, when you think about it, 2 years ago, I was in Taco Bell in Meriden on East Main Street, and in walks Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters.
Interesting place for him to be.
Well, that's kind of what I asked him, and not quite those. I was, and his answer was, "This is great because it's exactly between Boston and New York. We stop here every time we're going between to eat. It's perfect. It's right in the middle. It's a perfect rest stop.
The pit stop.
The pit stop. So why can't we have an event at the pit stop? What's
Absolutely.
stopping us from having an event at the pit stop?
That's right. We know the people are traveling through it.
Exactly.
So let's talk about, we've got ProdCon, Connecticut happening on November 30th and December 1st. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Great.
It's coming up fast.
I know. Also means the end of another year, right?
Ugh.
If we hit December. So what can somebody expect that's attending?
Well, like I said, this is for everybody. So we've structured the workshop curriculum for just about everybody. We have a DSLR workshop. We have one called Producing for Editors. We have one called Editing for Producers. We have one on audio. We have one coming. We're adding to the agenda on 3D. We're having one of the world's top 3D DPs coming.
Wow.
It's not in the brochure. It's not
Impressive
on the website.
for a first year.
We have a PA workshop. So we're far down is like if a student comes and wants to learn how to immediately get into the gripping business, immediately start getting work, this will be a more comprehensive, like a 3 or 4 hour workshop with Jeff Hoyt from Connecticut, who's bringing his entire grip truck to complement the workshop. So he's going to be taking the class out to the truck and everything, and it helps the DPs in the area because now they're going to have a built-in grip go-to list.
Right. So we're really getting some real nuts and bolts, meat and potatoes information.
Absolutely.
In addition to the networking, the connections, and the understanding who some of the other players in the market are.
Exactly.
We all can use one another.
We're really, I can't emphasize enough how badly we need students to attend this. And I've been disappointed in the 8 years I've run my user group that we don't get more students. And we hold almost all the meetings at colleges all the time, and the students are not there. What you learn in school is great, but as fast moving as this business is, you could be antiquated the minute you walk out.
Right.
And you really need to also know your peer group. You need to know the people that you want jobs from, that you might work with. It's a networking opportunity. It's the step you don't get in school. So we're going to be aggressively going after schools with aggressive student pricing to get people to come and really get to know the world that they're about to get into.
And that's a great point, because I think a lot of schooling in some ways can have sort of a vacuum effect. You're kind of in this insular bubble, and then you get out, and all of a sudden it's like you need to know the industry you're actually entering. Who are the players? Who are the key influencers? So I think that's great, and I wish you luck, on the reach to those college students.
I'm
college students.
Yeah.
If you're watching, get to this event. It's a must attend.
I worked in higher ed from '95 to 2003.
Oh, wow.
So I have that familiarity, and you're right, it does exist in a vacuum.
Right.
As great as it is, you can get your hands dirty and learn your craft the best you can, but if you don't know anybody on the outside,
Right.
it's what good is that?
Hence internships and events like ProductionCon. So let's talk about some of your exciting keynote speakers, because you've really ramped it up for a year one. It's already like a who's who. I heard you speaking earlier to someone here at the Greater New Haven Chamber of Commerce, and you got a who's who's list. So let's hit the bullets on that.
Well, we'll say who we do have.
Okay.
We do have, courtesy of Manhattan Edit Workshop, we have a guy named Michael Tronick coming. He's our current keynote speaker. He will, he's worked at Iron Man, Remember the Titans, and if you go back into the 70s, some famous movies like All That Jazz.
Wow.
So Michael's really polished. He actually started as an audio guy, and he has this great evolution. So
cool story.
Yeah, cool story. And Bobby Osteen will be coming along. She's a writer, and there we go. There's something for writers here. Christy's a writer, and she can't wait to see Bobby's presentations. Bobby's written several books on film editing. Her father was an editor.
Okay.
But she's also, her own person, and she has a lot of her own stories to tell beyond, these editing textbooks she's written. And the one I went and got was Howard Baldwin, who
I know
used to own the Hartford Whalers.
Good job.
Thank you.
He's coming back to Connecticut.
He left town. He moved back about a calendar year ago, and he took the Hartford Wolfpack over, rebranded them the Connecticut Whale in an effort to revitalize the hockey market But at the same time, he's also working on rebuilding Hartford as a city, which, as we all know, has just kind of lost its way in the last 15, 20 years.
It could use a little repointing.
Yeah, yeah. So Howard's big into community development. He's big into cross-promotion, and I just went and cornered him and asked him, and he was more than happy to be part of this.
Right. And now he's been on a couple of really big films, right?
Yeah, when he sold the Whalers in the late 80s, and he moved to Hollywood to get into producing. He produced Mystery Alaska, Ray, Sahara. He's produced 20, 25 films. He's actually working on one right now about Gordie Howe. He's still making movies. So.
Cool guy.
He's a great guy to have home.
I can't wait to meet him.
He's a great guy to have home, and we're thinking now of using him in a bigger capacity to maybe launch the event at a keynote breakfast. Cut the ribbon on the event.
So now that we kind of know who's coming and what someone can expect, let's tell them why to attend, and then let's also tell them how they can reach you online, the various platforms, the website, ticketing information.
Yes. We're working on a lot of deals right now, so a lot of this information will be evolving and changing. So keep going to the website. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook.
You want to tell
both sites are /ProductionCon,
okay.
CONN, one word, and the website is productioncon.com, CONN.com.
And the Twitter handle?
ProductionCon.
Okay.
@ProductionCon.
Those are easy.
So it's very simple. We're working on hopefully 2 really huge guests right now. We're going to constantly be adding to the expo floor. We're excited. Some of the vendors we spoke to at the NAB convention that are excited. One of them that immediately comes to mind is GoPro, and everyone knows about that little camera now. A year ago, nobody knew what it was.
Well, maybe we're going to have to play with that.
And their CEO said to me something along the lines of, "Dude, do we have to have a table, or can we do whatever we want?" And I said, "You can do whatever you want. Take the space." And they're notorious for building these audio-visual
experiences.
Yeah, experiences. So,
I'm excited about them. I'm going to be playing with that product.
But vendors like Adobe, Panasonic, and AJA, and all these great vendors are aboard right now. We're going to keep adding and adding and adding. So it's going to constantly evolve. The pricing is tiered, and right now it is what it is, and it might change if certain things happen. But if you lock in now, then we'll honor it. But all the information's on the website, and like I said, you have to keep checking back, because this is a work in progress.
Cool. Well, I know we're excited. Global Entertainment and Media is going to be there broadcasting Let's Get Social live.
That's right.
So we will probably sit down again at ProductionCon Connecticut, 2011, November 30th and December 1st. Thanks for sitting down. This has really been fun, and I think we'll be in touch a lot more between now and the actual event. So for Let's Get Social, I'm Chris Bartlett. See you online.